be taking a look at some stories involving Alexa Bliss's latest new teaser about her future, a look at the latest regarding Karrion Kross and Scarlett, as well as some interesting comments from a Becky Lynch interview. Let's start things off with the new report on Karrion Kross. It's no secret to any hardcore NXT and WWE fan that Karrion Kross's main roster run has unfortunately been flat and disappointing compared to all the expectations and hopes we had for his main roster appearance. Karrion Kross was easily one of the guys in NXT. He had the dominant in-ring presence and just amazing overall presentation of his character. He had the big entrance with the smoke and Scarlett leading the Fallen Prey chants on their way to the ring. It really felt special, and everyone couldn't wait to see how that translated on the main roster. Obviously, we haven't seen that happen yet. Main roster Karrion Kross has a lot of those great presentation factors stripped away from him, and is barely left with anything. They gave him that new mask and ring gear, and that's basically all he has now. And because the presentation of this character has become so bare and bland, the casual fans barely react to Karrion Kross. Well, it appears that the main roster version of Karrion Kross is already being scrapped and going through changes. New reports claim that Karrion Kross will be receiving a character change that will make his character a bit more psycho. It also claims that presentation changes will be made to his entrance and theme music, but that his mask will be staying. And of course, the most popular question for when it comes to everything Karrion Kross related is Scarlett. What's the latest with her? Well, the reports claim that Scarlett is still not a part of any immediate plans and not being mentioned at all. Last time Karrion Kross talked about Scarlett, he said that they were waiting for something to take its course, but that she's still training as hard as she ever has. There's no rumored timetable for Scarlett's return. Whether it's a medical issue or creative issue, it looks like Scarlett is not a part of any plans right now for Karrion Kross, which really is disappointing because of that role she plays for Karrion Kross. She added so much to the mystique of his character in NXT. So some fans out there feel like WWE isn't going to get this right until Scarlett is added back into the equation. It's a bit confusing, but it's just how it is sometimes. Sure, there are plenty of NXT superstars that come to the main roster and just take off with great success. But there's also a handful of extremely special NXT characters that get called up and either lose their entire character or instantly become lost in the shuffle. And that's been the case for recent call-ups, like Karrion Kross and Toni Storm. Karrion Kross has lost his entire character and identity, while Toni Storm was called up with zero plans in mind and just sits backstage every week at SmackDown. So hopefully this is something that's being worked on and hopefully fixed up soon in the near future. Becky Lynch just returned over the summer and instantly took back her spot on top of the women's division. But Becky's not afraid to speak on how WWE storylines don't make sense sometimes. Becky recently spoke with Ryan Satin on the Out of Character podcast and discussed the weirdness in her storyline after she won the main event of WrestleMania 35. She had this to say during that interview. That was a little bit more difficult because, well, so I went from the main event of WrestleMania to then the next night. I had to make a star out of Lacey Evans. And so, then I was tasked with that. But then it went into a weird tag team run with me and Charlotte Flair because they were trying to book both of us on top, but we're opposing. There was some weirdness in there. So, some more great insight from Becky Lynch on these topics. Like Becky revealed a few weeks ago, she's a story-driven individual. She loves storytelling and thinks it's the most important and crucial element of pro wrestling, which it definitely is. So that's why she was a bit confused with the direction that they took her in mid to late 2019. The main cycle of life in WWE is to make it to the top, and then you, as the established top star, help elevate someone new into superstardom. That's the cycle in WWE and pro wrestling in general. So Becky had spent all of her main roster years trying to make it to the top. She wins the main event of WrestleMania, finally made it to the top. And the very next night, less than 24 hours later, she's tasked with establishing a new star. Becky has no problem with that, but the timing was the weird part, because Becky didn't really get to enjoy her time being at the top or appreciate her journey at all. The very next night after she made it to the top in her eyes, she was tasked with elevating a new star. So maybe if that happened a year or so later, after Becky had been well established and enjoyed being at the top, maybe it would have made a bit more sense. Then in late 2019, WWE paired Becky and Scarlett up as a tag team, which again was really weird because they had just spent the previous year telling an entire hostile breakup story that made them the biggest rivals with each other. So again, timing-wise and storyline-wise, it just didn't make much sense to see Becky and Scarlett getting along after the breakup story that we saw in 2018 and early 2019. And they even teamed up a few weeks ago, and even though they're both technically heels, so they should get along, they're still not really on the same page because everything that happened years ago. So that's a nice little touch and callback to 2018 and 2019. Becky, being the passionate storyteller that she is, will not be happy and jolly with Charlotte Flair on screen ever again, since they do have that troubled past. So just an example of Becky's storytelling there. You always have that natural tension there between Charlotte and Becky, even if the characters are both heel or both baby faces. But what are your thoughts on Becky's comments about her storyline? Alexa Bliss will be coming back to Raw soon. The only question is, what version of her will we see upon her WWE return? Well, Alexa Bliss recently posted a new teaser that has fans talking about her possibly reverting to her old personas. Alexa posted a GIF that goes from the dark Alexa Bliss and transitions to the ordinary, happy version of Alexa Bliss. Usually with this GIF, it goes from happy Alexa to dark Alexa, but this specific GIF went in reverse from dark to happy. So that has fans running wild with their speculation and talks about Alexa's return. With the GIF being in reverse, it does add some more fuel to the idea of Alexa going back to her normal, or maybe a new, different type of normal. Some fans really want the Goddess version of Alexa Bliss to come back, and that's fine, as long as there's a strong story to support the change. Look at the entire transition and all the time it took to get Alexa to the dark persona. So storyline-wise, it should be a bit of a process, or a short story for her transition out of it. If Alexa just returns with her old theme and her old persona like nothing ever happened, it's gonna be really weird. It just feels like an explanation or a story is needed to be given if Alexa is really reverting back. If they want to say something like, Lilly was in control, and by breaking Lilly, it freed the real Alexa Bliss, that's fine, but they do have to tell us that. You just can't let us assume that. So that's the part that is a bit worrisome here. Obviously, very excited for Alexa Bliss's return, but hopefully it does have a good story and explanation attached to it, because that's going to be very important. What are your thoughts on today's stories? Leave your comments below. Don't forget to subscribe with all notifications on, and leave a like if you enjoyed. Thanks for watching, guys.